What's happening, family? It is your man, CRB Jr., Corey Robert Brown Jr. in the house here at Big Boss Filmworks, Motown Mafia podcast, episode to be counted.
What up? This is Lou Stevens of Big Boss Filmworks, back at you.
What up, Lou? You alright, buddy?
Man, I can't call it, man. It's a good life.
It's a good life, yeah.
That's right.
We have embraced the journey that began. Making of the Mafia, Patreon, coming soon, right?
Coming soon. Making of the Mafia. We're looking at a spring release.
Really going to chronicle how this whole thing came. It's been just a hell of a journey. So on that, just with it on my mind, a couple shouts out. Shout out to Al Prophet, American Dope, keeping it going. Motown Mafia Part 2, Motown Mafia Remix coming soon. Have not forgot, shout out Scott Bernstein, all the day one people. Don't mention his name enough, and I know we do cover it in Making of the Mafia. DJ Taxi, shout out
what up, Taxi? Shout
out to Richard Jennings. You know, we'll go into it because it deserves its whole nother thing. But he was like the first guy that had some experience in this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Never was about the bag, never was about the money. It was about sharing the vision and helping out some homies. Shout out to my brother down there in Florida, Eddie Baby. What up?
Big up, Eddie Baby.
Shout out to the whole Jackson family.
Big up to Ice Waters.
Ice, you know what? Ice and homie Kev got to link up. Ice, Harlem World. Another day one, or just from the time we crossed paths with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, that's Kevin Childs, man, and then it was such a small world. Ice just was there day one. Just
history.
Yeah, day one. And shout out to his man, Kev. So with that said though, about 3 weeks ago, if you guys have not seen it, it did well actually. We had like an hour and a half, 2 hour interview with Scott Bernstein, one of America's premier crime historians. He's also doing some consulting on that BMF show series. Did some consulting work on the White Boy Rick. Scott's the real deal. He said they call him Scoogle, right? Scoogle, Scott and Google combined. That's how much he knows about all of this kind of stuff, whether it's the Italian Mafia, YBI, or BMF. I mean, he's done all the deep research. So we sat down, we chopped it up. You guys haven't checked it out, go back in the archives. It's very recent. This stuff got dropped like 2-3 weeks ago. But as we were unpacking the interview with Scott, he mentioned, and shout out to the whole BMF family. Great again, salute as your man Hover, what did he say? All the hustlers love us just to see one of us make it.
Just to see one of us make it.
And Lord knows that's my sentiments, you know. It does my heart well to see any of us who come out to struggle. Who really, really was living that life, doing that thing. The bumps, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And to be able to see that BMF thing, to see that team come out on the other side of this, just I tip my hat. So on there though, couple things. You know, Uncle Butch, T.
Yeah.
Is out at Wassams.
Southwest T.
Right, he's out of he's running the show out there with Wassams, right? So when Uncle Butch, Black Butch, shout out to the Dispatch, aka Black Dispatch, coming back soon. We got some stuff. What my man called him, the street thesaurus. The street thesaurus will be back at it again. Shout out, happy belated birthday. I don't think we did any posting. Unc just had a birthday, so shout out to truly one of the Detroit legends. Obviously known him all my life. And then Pops now go back 50 years plus.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Butch was out at Wassams, and he runs into T, right?
Yeah.
And people are there kissing the ring of T, rightfully so. Mm-hmm. And Unc is like, I don't know if you know who I am, yada, yada, yada. And Unc said, T just kind of cut. He's like, dude, you're Eddie Jackson's man. You're Black Butch. He like, of course we know who you are. It's like, seen the doc, read all the books. We was talking about y'all before we ever even caught our case. which ties back into what Scott was saying. Scott actually, has conversations with Meech and free that man. Hopefully he'll be on soon too.
Yeah.
He could definitely be good to society now.
Definitely.
He's much better used for the American taxpayer as a free man. He could help lower all of our tax burdens.
That's right.
They can make a lot of money. And him being locked up, he's paid his debt to society for whatever debt that was that he owed, but different issue. I digress. That when he had a conversation with Big Meech, Meech, who he was explaining to us that Meech considers himself also a crime historian and has looked at all the players that had preceded him. And that obviously he was very familiar with Pops, with Eddie, with the whole Jackson organization.
Okay.
And Scott went on to say that basically Big Meech formed BMF, and the three role models that he kind of architected BMF from was the Eddie Jackson organization, that the crew of the 70s, that the mega run from 69 to 77 crew. Obviously Pop there, but like Butch, 5-0 Garrett, Ronald Garrett, Charles Rudolph, Zach Garrett, Big Willie Kilpatrick, the legends, the ones that the charter members, as we call them, the ones who actually,
the horse traders.
Yeah, the horse traders, the ones that put this town on the map. And then the Davis brothers, Doc and Reginald Davis. Those who don't know, Al's done some great work. Check out some of the stuff he's did on the Davis family. A couple of years ago, remember we were down and actually Doc let us use his condo.
Yeah, we were down at the condo.
At his condo doing some shooting with Alan Cavario. Doc Davis again and his family and the Davis families, because they were really, really low key, but those who were in the game, know that Doc and his family, Doc and his brothers, as big as they come.
That's right.
Multi-internationally connected, and ran up the bag as good as anybody. And the YBI organization, that Meech had studied the rise and fall of YBI.
Which they mentioned at the very first scene of the show.
Correct. In fact, all the trailers and episode 1, if you look at episode 1 on BMF, it's that iconic Young Boy Incorporated photo.
Yeah, with the campaign hats.
With the campaign hats. And the
top 10s.
Right. The Meech and T characters say, we didn't want to grow up to be Isaiah Jordan. We wanted to grow up to be YBI. And so so when Scott said it to me, it led me to do some pondering and thinking of, what lessons did he learn from them, and what lessons did he not learn?
Yeah.
So the lesson that he did not learn was, as we spoke about, that when you get up, you should get out.
Yeah. Definitely.
All three of those organizations, their leadership had accumulated enough money to go do something else. Each one had different factors why they didn't, and there's always a reason why you don't quit, but mainly it's because of lifestyle and greed, and money can make you really drunk. Eddie and Pop and them, they was hustling from behind the 8-ball from the beginning because they got indicted so early in the situation that, they made all their money on their way to jail.
Right.
Literally. But that doesn't mean, especially back then when you were not doing that kind of crazy time because the sentencing was less, they could have prepared to make it so that there should never have had to been a Motown Mafia Part 2 or My Internship,
exactly.
or Eddie on French Road, or the Carter in Highland Park, his building, or me running back and forth with the Nigeria. None of that really should have ever had to happen, because they made different strategies could have easily allowed us just not to have to do any of that shit ever again. Reginald and Doc Davis, same thing. They did a lot of legitimate businesses also, but They could have, they had ample opportunities to go a different direction and with financial security. And all the leadership in YBI is different because not only just the leadership of YBI, because it was such a successful retail operation that not just Butch and Raymond RIP, WW RIP, I mean, all the guys that I heard about and that, I had a front row seat, I never hustled any of those guys. And Pop maybe hustled indirectly with some members of that organization. But what we do know, they ran up the bag. They all had opportunity to step away millionaires. Right. That's factual.
Yeah.
That's factual. And they didn't. So Meech didn't learn that lesson from them. But I think there were some other lessons that he did learn that served him and the BMF family very well. I think obviously he got from Eddie, everybody I've talked to who dealt with Meech said he treated people really good and never was that big eye, little you kind of guy.
Right.
And that's like Eddie Jackson coaching 101. I mean, Eddie's ability to keep morale high, it was a 32-man indictment. His ability it was genuine, I think, and it seems to be in both cases. Eddie liked people, and he didn't want himself just to shine and live good.
He was ahead of his time on the boss tip, as opposed to being a boss. He was more of a team leader.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? He wanted to uplift you. What did he say? You not a
you ain't an ounce. You ain't no ounce, nigga. You a kilo, right? The guy called Eddie back in the day and call Eddie and be like, Eddie, can you front me an ounce? And Eddie show up and be like, nigga, you ain't no ounce, nigga. Hey, you take this over here and bring me this money because you's a big fella in this town, and give him the rally talk and the pep talk. And as Poppin says in No Time Off in the documentary, if you have not watched it, available on Amazon Prime and Tubi TV, as Pop says, Eddie walked a lot of those guys right up the ladder. And, starting them off with ounces, the next thing you know, they were flipping bricks for him. And it seems Meech's organization, I think that running a large organization, those lessons, if he was studying Eddie's situation, it seems he adhered to that. Because he lived good, like Eddie lived magnificently good, and, they were all, but everybody on their team lived good.
Definitely.
And everybody associated with him. I think something that he obviously took from both Eddie and the Davis organization was, and learned a problem that YBI had. Eddie had international connection for his product. Doc Davis and them had international connection for their product. Meech was dealing, according to all documents, directly with an associate of the cartel down there.
Okay.
That to do it on a certain level, you got to have a plug that can support that level, right? Because in the end, you're only as good as your plug.
Yeah.
One of the things that, Doc Davis was supplying YBI a lot of the times, and a lot of the thing that stopped the top tier of leadership in YBI from really ascending to was because they were dependent on other people for they never really had their own.
They never had that main
plug. I mean, having a plug like Doc Davis is a great thing, and boy, a bunch of other guys in this town.
Yeah, but the source,
Milwaukee Jack, and a lot of people, they were dealing with big fellas, but that's different than going and getting it out the ground yourself.
Yeah.
Or going to the guy who's literally getting it out the ground himself. And that lesson, I think, that the Davis organization, the Jackson organization did. I think Meech, obviously, as a student, was able to see that. And he progressed, when he got out of Detroit and found and moved all the way up the ranks as far as his connections. And that was a lesson learned, I think, that he obviously, taking Scott's lead, that these were the three organizations that he modeled his team under. Those he got And I guess maybe I guess looking back also on that YBI thing, dealing with young men making lots of money and the volatility. I mean, because let's say on this one he learned some lessons well. Unlike YBI, who with all those young men and people lose sight of this, you know, and it irritates me to no end when 40, 50-year-old men look back on the behavior 30 years ago of 16, 17, 18-year-olds and attempt to put middle-aged men's perspectives on the actions of teenagers, right?
Yeah.
And middle-aged men who can't even imagine that kind of lifestyle or that kind of money, least of all at that age.
Yeah.
But a lot of murder and mayhem ended up behind that YBI situation.
Yeah, this is true.
Not BMF. Despite of a very young crew, tons of money, tons of access, and that's a compliment, and that's a testament to T and Meech's leadership.
Absolutely.
And obviously they did look at some of the things that YBI did wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and avoided them pitfalls.
And avoided those pitfalls.
Let's not get 13-year-olds involved in the game.
Let's not get 13, and let's focus on enjoying ourselves with all this money we have.
Absolutely.
And not get so much caught up into rivalry. Right? You know, what I heard Meech actually say this on a phone interview. He was saying, you know, guys, especially when he's down in Atlanta, and they were putting on their greatest show on earth, and you know, just doing what we do sometimes when you're drunk with money. Before you actually get drunk on alcohol, long before that you're already drunk on money. But cats that might have started off hating on him, he understood that, but he was like, when they would eventually say, shit, if I can't beat them, I might as well join them.
That's right.
It was like, come on in, right?
Bring them into the collective.
Bring them into the collective. And that is something that definitely did not occur with YBI on some levels. It was from the neighborhood, but a lot of stuff. That sense of inclusion, or that this thing is big enough for a lot of people to eat.
Yeah.
And whatever you might have said or did, you know, a lot of that shit we can just let that charge it to the game and keep it moving.
Keep it pressing, for real.
So yeah, man, I just thought it was an interesting little topic there. Again, you know, with the success of the show, the mentioning of YBI, and again, as we've said, when to understand Detroit, understand where the BMF thing launched, you got to understand YBI.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
To understand why there became a YBI, you got to understand the Jackson organization that preceded it.
Definitely.
So yeah, man. Anything else you got? Questions, comments?
Oh man, wanted to send a quick shout out to my man Daoud Shabazz. He has a gallery opening coming up soon.
Okay.
There's a couple other things. Check me out, Flyers Plus Graphics. If you need any graphic design, obituaries, flyers, you know, a little bit of every thumbnail you see. You know, pretty much we're talking about getting into the NFT space as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And we got some partners doing some things in the green space. What's that? What is their Facebook, or what is it? Dime Shop.
Yeah, the Dime Shop, the DimeShopUSA.com.
At Facebook? No, the IG.
Yeah, they have a Facebook as well. Look up the Dime Shop USA. You'll find them on Facebook.
Okay, yeah, check that out. Coming soon, some family and friends doing their thing in the green space. You know, it's all legal here in the state of Michigan, so it is going down.
That's right.
Don't mention enough. Shout out to Vinyl if you're in the town.
Oh man,
it's Black History Month. This Malcolm hoodie, obviously he's got all the flyest fashion. Vinyl Davis down there. Vinyl's legendary in the hood. Me and Vinyl got it popping some 20 years ago in that Dexter Davison area. What he's been able to do with his retail footprint is just awesome.
Yeah, and right next door to Vinyls, you got Blazing Hookahs.
Got his hookah joint, and then got the original spot still around the joint.
Gear Unlimited.
You know, so make sure if you guys are in the hood, everyone know where I get, pretty much we are about the people. So anything you see me in that either came from Vano's, shout out to Kathy at Strictly Sportswear.
Big up.
Shout out to brother Jaron out there at Rack Certified, new joint out there off Southfield Road and the plaza right there north of 12 Mile, where the big boys and stuff is at. So family's all good.
Check it out.
Family is all good. So yeah, that's your man. It's Big Lou, CRB Jr., Cordy Rob Brown Jr., Motown Mafia podcast. We got to count episode a lot, but not enough.
That's right.
Check us out again. Make sure, man. You guys I know everybody's busy. If you guys are not getting those notifications, make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure you're hitting that like, share, and subscribe. Our partners at YouTube can be very particular.
That's right.
The support and the growth of the channel is getting, again, just thank you guys so much.
And
we appreciate it.
And if you're watching right now, check us out on Facebook, the Big Boss Filmworks Facebook fan page. Go ahead and like and follow, because we will be releasing exclusive video footage that probably won't be here on YouTube. Maybe later on down the line, but some exclusives will be coming down the pipeline for the Facebook.
And Patreon channel coming soon, so really gonna have some exclusive stuff for the family out there who really want to do a deep dive on what has been a 50-year plus drama that the Fat Man and the crew set in motion in the late 60s, and the ripple effects still continue on. So it's your man, we're not gonna keep you. Big Boss Filmworks, signing out. How about you, man?
Peace.
It was just time to really tell a great Untold Detroit story, because it kind of covers Detroit at its zenith.
Very interesting story.
We decided that we were going to make a movie.
All right, Rich Rossi with you with Motown Mafia. I'm with Courtney.
Lewis Stevens.
Lewis Stevens, Courtney Brown.
Courtney Brown Jr.
And Alan Al Prophet Bradley.
And this is an entrepreneurial, inspirational story too, because again, I'm a real estate retail guy. That's what my skill set is. But I'm a businessman, so I was like, we're gonna do it. Sometimes when you got a dream, you won't have all the answers on how you're gonna do what you're gonna do.
What made this one unique was not so much the crime, but the intertwining with Detroit's history and the Motown era and kind of the economic decline of Detroit. And it's really the story of a family. And from some perspectives, has a happy ending, like you said. For others, it didn't have a happy ending.
Right.